Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. I'll be your host, Dave Trumbore. With me today from Down Under, it's the one, the only, Sean Paul Ellis. How's it going, mate?
David, I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing quite grand. Thank you for asking. Hey,
Oh.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like maybe you have another extra special guest over there tonight.
I have a wonderful guest here, who is a local filmmaker, and also a good friend of mine. Please welcome to the show, Tony Lazzeroni. Hey, Tony, how's it going?
Not too bad. How y'all doing today?
Doing
Doing
well.
well.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks
man,
for
for
coming on the
having me.
show.
Thanks for having me.
Do you want to tell the folks a little bit about yourself? I know Sean gave you a little intro there, but feel free to boast about yourself.
Yeah. So for the last handful of years, I've been making short films and sketches and commercials, and got really involved working with a lot of the improvisers here in the DC scene, which is how I met Sean. Yeah, it's a fun time. We've got a production company that I run called Crowded Elevator Pictures. And I also produce some sketch videos for a YouTube channel called Ugly Hollywood, both of which that Sean has helped out with a couple times.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like you guys have a decent number of projects over the last few months or years too. So definitely looking forward to
Well,
more from the both of you.
I mean, let's just put it this way, Dave.
Yeah.
Tony is kind enough to tolerate me.
I honestly was going to say that, but I didn't want to interrupt Tony while he was talking.
I tolerate his brilliant talent.
Look at that. You guys are made
You
for each
got
other.
it, you got
That's so
it.
sweet. Well, I'm expecting great things from the both of you. In the immediate future, I'm expecting a wonderful hour of this very podcast because we're talking about the fourth of our New Year's Nicktoons.
New Year's Nicktoons.
Yeah.
Did you just say Dicktoons? Because it sounded like
No,
Nicktoons.
it's a New Year's
Oh,
Nicktoons.
I heard New Year's Dicktoons, which is
I want to
appropriate
do
for
New
this
Year's
show, though.
Nicktoons now. Let's start a podcast that just
just,
does porno.
just cartoon porno. Just rule
There should be a
34.
Leisure Suit Larry episode at some point.
Absolutely. There might even be one on this show. Who knows? So yeah, New Year's Nicktoons, despite my flu-addled hearing. Yeah, we're going to be talking Rocko's Modern Life tonight, and here to give you a brief history, it's going to be me. So here we go. I'm just going to read this more or less straight from Wikipedia. It's not the most interesting history. It's actually kind of
We are.
what's up? What'd you say? Sorry. So yeah, here we go. A little bit of history, Rocko's Modern Life. Like I said, the previous Nicktoons that we talked about, it was basically somebody's, the creator's idea. Maybe they tried to start a comic strip, or they tried to start hell, a coloring book, anything that they wanted to do. Like Doug's creator, Jim Jenkins, I believe, tried to start something, anything other than a cartoon, and then Nickelodeon eventually came to them and picked it up because they wanted to start these Nicktoons that were aimed at kids but could also reach adults as well. Something that was a little bit edgier. Ren and Stimpy, which we talked about last week, I mean, is
Oh boy.
just heads above the rest of them as far as like adult content.
Ugh.
Rocco gets fairly close, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It drew some heat for that, but I don't think anywhere near as much as Ren and Stimpy. But this one was created by Joe Murray, and it debuted in 1993, September of 1993, ended on November 24th, 1996. With a total of 4 seasons and 52 episodes, which is respectable. It's not the
That's
one.
healthy.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not
healthy.
like, yeah,
That's
that's not
how
like
it
the
should be in
one.
cartoons.
1989. Why did you have to do one season
Look,
with
man,
like
everything in
65
the '80s was
episodes?
excess. We know this.
Knock it off,
We
Spiral
know
Zone.
this. Oh, Spiral Zone. I will go back to the Spiral Zone. We'll have a special
That's
episode just
that's
for
the
that.
consequences.
Oof. Don't you start.
Pay,
Get.
pay the consequences.
Don't you bring that show back here. Don't you do it. Okay, back to Rocco.
Deal with it.
Oh boy. Yeah, so like I said, Murray originally created the title character for an unpublished comic book series in the late 80s, and he wasn't exactly pleased that Nickelodeon was interested in it, but it worked out pretty well for them, especially considering the places that the different careers of the folks involved with Rocco led later on. For the most part, Rocco's Modern Life had generally positive reviews during its original run, and then when it was in sort of the syndication, it's basically become a cult hit, which is exactly why we're talking about it today. It also launched the careers of notable voice actors, including Tom Kenny, who went in to
Yeah.
voice SpongeBob, and a number of other characters, but that's easily the one he's best known for. And Carlos Alazraqui, which I'm probably butchering his name, and I didn't stop to look up what else he's known for. Do you guys know off the top of your head?
He's actually known for Reno 911.
Oh,
He
right,
is
right. I'm
he's
looking at
the
his
only
picture
member
right now.
not of the state that is in Reno 911.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's a funny guy and does a number of voices on this. Has done a handful of other voices through other cartoons since then.
Yeah, and clearly, like you said, a lot of the live action stuff too. So once you see this guy, you'll know exactly who we're talking about. But that's pretty much it for the history. Kind of cut and dry. The only thing that's of an interesting note, as far as my notes are concerned, once the show was eventually canceled, a lot of the staff kind of stuck together, including the voice work, the writers, and some of the artists stuck together to work on SpongeBob SquarePants. So clearly that worked out pretty well for them, because that's the longest running Nicktoon. At this point, it was longer than Rugrats, which we talked about just a few weeks ago. So.
Yeah, I mean, SpongeBob is what? It's like one season and like 4,000 episodes now at this point.
Yeah, it's just one continuous, never-ending season under the sea. Yeah.
You see, they're doing like a 3D movie now with it too, which is going to be kind of nuts. Well, and one of the other ones for the episodes that we watched, Dan Poppenmeyer was a producer on a lot of them. He went on to direct a lot of Family Guy.
Oh, really?
Especially the early episodes of Family Guy, and then left that to go to the
Fairly Odd Parents. Right?
Yeah. Very nice. I like that little bit of history coming in.
Another wonderful Nicktoon.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Rocko's Modern Life is anything but modern.
Well, I mean, maybe it was in 1993.
Can we,
I don't know about these days.
Very modern in '93.
Boy. I love the old credit, without getting too far ahead of ourselves, the old credit card swiper might have been the most anachronistic thing that I saw in this show, but yeah.
It was so archaic when it took place. Like I think there have been very few places that I've been to in like the last like 2 or 3 years that have actually used those old credit card swipers.
Yeah, basically if they like don't have power or are not connected to like a grid somewhere, then they use those old things. That's it.
It's the fallback,
It was before Square became popular and accessible, it was DC cab drivers.
Yeah.
Weird.
Would still like they'd carry like a credit card swiper in like their glove box.
Yeah, in the dash.
and then the second you're just like, ugh, I only have a credit card, you'd get this like
knife to the belly? Oh, okay. Just murder.
The deep sigh. The extra $2 or $3 charged on top of it.
Yeah,
right.
So
simpler times of Rocko's Modern Life.
That was an unaired episode of Rocko.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's probably snuck it in there somewhere.
Rocko's Taxi Cab Confessions.
Ooh, I like that.
HBO was like, this is really risque.
But when Heffer got naked in that one, it was full frontal instead of what we saw.
Well, it technically was still full frontal. He's just so fat that you can't say anything. But what are you gonna?
It's like the Peter Griffin.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Anytime you like
the fat roll that covers the mantle.
Yeah. Ooh. That is bizarre. So, if that hasn't sold you on this show to like at this moment,
you're not human.
If you're not running out immediately to watch this,
you're made of stone.
Yeah.
I mean, art.
And again, Amazon Prime. Got to give them a lot of credit.
Yeah,
for having
not as much maybe
volumes.
as previous weeks though, because your order of episodes is all jacked up. But yeah, they're still there.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah. So this show follows the life of Wallaby Rocko, who immigrated from the United States from Australia. And it sort of takes place surrounding I want to say the responsibilities and minutiae of being an adult.
Yes. Yeah.
It takes place in a fictional town called O-Town, which is near the Great Lakes, which is bizarre that it's near an actual landmark that exists, but it's a fictional town.
I don't think I would have picked up on it if I hadn't seen it in Wikipedia, which again doesn't necessarily mean anything. But I don't remember it being like, oh yeah, it's totally right.
Yeah, I don't remember it ever being like noted, other than like research-wise.
Right. I think they show a couple like map views when they travel
do they?
and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, it gets the map around the globe, so that may be where they got it from.
Okay. There are one of the main things about this show is that there are a lot of spoofs, or they lampoon a good number of commercial entities that are available in the zeitgeist, or just in commercial retail. And so there's a parody of KFC, which is called the Choky Chicken.
For a time, anyway.
Which is for a time, until somebody was like, are they talking? Until like probably until like somebody was like, hey, we're developing this website. You might want to check it out. It's called Urban Dictionary. And somebody's like, Choky Chicken, sir. Oh no. Like, as soon as they found out that this shit was all about masturbation. And And then
Of
sort
all
of
the
like
things to say under your breath on this show, Sean Paul Ellis. Look it up, kids.
Look it up. The other is sort of like I want to say maybe like an aggregate of just an
every
idea
corporation ever. Yeah.
Yeah, of every corporation, which is conglomero. And the more I watched this show when I was younger, I definitely picked up on the idea of just like, oh, this is like the big corporation, like this is like the big guy that's like holding it. This is the man.
Well, and that was the thing in business back then, was this idea of doing the multinational conglomerate, and you only survived if you diversified what your company was doing, to the point where there's ridiculous things where conglomerate is running like the mini mart and also the government, and so it comes in multiple times along the way. But it's much more a commentary of how things worked back then. Nobody really does that the same way anymore. That's been deemed, terrible business practice. But at the time, it was the way to do things.
Oh yeah, and I love the parody of it though too, because it reminds me of like the 30 Rock parody, where it's like NBC and 30 Rock are owned by General Electric,
Scheinhardt-Wig.
and then yeah, exactly. Then GE is a subsidiary of the Scheinhardt-Wig company. I love that so much. But yeah, Rocko was like, I mean, they were right on that button too, and I think they did a great job with it, especially for kids.
And I mean, and along what Tony was saying, like, them being able to kind of like poke light at a lot of these different organizations and just concepts that were available, like Hollywood was Hollow,
right?
And making fun of the fact that like people in Hollywood like don't have a soul, or that they're just like empty vessels. And you're not Hollywood. You guys are wonderful. We're in DC. Please stop shitting on us.
Do they shit on you? Does Hollywood shit on you? I didn't think
they call DC Hollywood for ugly people, which is why my YouTube channel is called Ugly Hollywood.
Oh, I really like that tie-in. I like that.
Yeah, pull it back together.
Yep, I have to credit Brianna Lux with that one. That was a brilliant naming on her part.
Hat tip.
Yes. So, just really kind of an examination of the life and times of a wallaby that immigrated to the United States, and just sort of understanding some of the responsibilities and expectations that are going to be set upon somebody who's, I guess, if you were to think about it now, like a millennial that's kind of coming into their own, like a mid 20-something that is, getting their first apartment and understanding like how to pay bills and how to accept those responsibilities and how to succeed.
And everything that they own is complete crap, and the place where they live is falling apart, and their friends are idiots that are just as dumb about all these things as they are.
The biggest thing that messed with me about watching this show was the realization that Rocko, like Rocko's job would not afford him a house.
No. Yeah. He's got a pretty decent house. Now, granted, he is by the Great Lakes, so...
This is why he lives in the Midwest. It's the only place where you could work at a comic book store and afford to pay for a house. Even a crappy house.
Even a crappy house. It's
you have to be in Detroit. Yeah. You have to live in Detroit.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Where houses are $1 a piece because people are burning them down left
and even then, you're just squatting. You're like, oh god, I had this house on like Monday and Tuesday, and I have to commit arson and get rid of the evidence.
You are not far from the truth there, Chief. So
thanks, Chicago.
Oh boy.
It kind of messed with me, like going back and actually like rewatching some of these episodes and thinking to myself, like, watching this, I had this bizarre expectation when I was younger that like eventually one day I will own like a single family home in this, and then obviously we've lived through like
in the Great Lakes region.
Yeah, the Great Lakes region. Right. Like, we've lived through this like, subprime mortgage crisis and all these problems that we've had in terms of just money and finances and everything. And I'm not getting like too crazy about this, but like it stops and it makes you think, and it made me be a little bit more conservative with my wallet.
Thanks to Rocko's Modern Life?
No, I think Rocko, when I watched this cartoon, like there was something in me that was just like, oh, well, that's cool. Like he works at a comic book shop, and I was going to comic book shops all the time.
Yeah.
And he owns this awesome house. And in my mind, I was just like, well, I mean, it's a fixer-upper. I mean, let's not. I mean, it's like Tom Hanks in Money Trap,
Yeah.
like Money Pit.
Money Pit.
Like, it's just like it's not the best.
Well, and
but
like
it's
literally every
also-
episode,
it's
it's
also
getting
a residence.
destroyed piecemeal too. Like things are just flying through walls and knocking out windows. But that's part of the fun, I guess. Being a homeowner. Hey, Sean, what was the name of this?
I have to
Yeah,
assume,
go ahead, Tony.
I have to assume in that house that everything costs just an arm and a leg to replace because there are no right angles whatsoever.
No, I think he. I don't think. I think he probably built the
So
house
everything is
and
a
the
custom.
furniture himself. He just bought everything from IKEA
Wow.
and then mixed it all up together and just lost all his like 90-degree pieces and connectors and just this is good enough. We'll slap it together. But hey, Sean, what was the name of this show again? I can't quite remember. What was the title of this show, this series?
Rocko's Modern Life.
Oh, is that what it was? Can you say it like 6 more times like the theme song does? Because I just wanted to make sure.
Well,
that people know.
I think my favorite thing that Tony and I were talking about prior to recording tonight was that in the later seasons, the B-52s or members of the B-52s record
What?
the
We
theme song.
redid the
Yeah,
theme
I know,
song,
right?
yeah.
So it's like Fred Schneider in the background, and there's like Rocko's Modern Life.
Rocko's Modern Life.
Yes,
Wow, that's amazing. I would listen to that all day.
it's wonderful.
Interesting.
And it's great because you get this wonderful talent in there that is known for lyrics and interpretation, and then you don't change the damn lyrics.
No,
at all.
nothing.
They changed nothing.
They literally walk in for 45 seconds and probably make like 10 grand a pop.
They were like, copy, paste, add B-52's filter. Like, that's a thing in
Yeah, that's a thing.
GarageBand, right?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. We're doing it right now. I hope it sounds good to everybody out there.
Just for the rest of the show, I'm gonna talk like this.
Tin roof! Rust.
Everybody listening is gonna get pissed.
Rock lobster! Anyway. I don't know how we pick up from
But
there.
yeah, I mean, the theme song,
Yeah.
is just to kind of dissect the theme song. Like, it's wonderful because it's not a hybrid. Like this,
No.
the intro was written specifically for this show, and I love some of the moments that were in this. Like, really, I think set the tone for me very well in terms of like the moment where they open up his head and then they push like the book of knowledge into it, and then it just kind of like excretes itself
Yeah.
from his ear.
And then they just kind of kick him out. Yeah.
With a glorious little sploosh sound
Yes.
that is just it's such a common thing. So the art of Foley, which is just sound effects in movies and television, if you watch, especially in the early episodes, where there's a couple episodes that they're basically silent films. It's just sound effects that you hear through the whole thing, no talking. But they love like fart sounds and excretion sounds and little splooches and splotches. I mean, somebody sits down and there's a little to go along with it, in every spot. And there's some other great stuff. Rocko, whenever he's walking, he sounds like he's got plastic shoes on, which may be intentional, kind of selling how crappy his life is that he can't afford, shoes with rubber soles. But he's wearing clogs wherever he goes.
Like, what bargain bin of like a DSW are you shopping at?
I mean, it's got to be the same place he got that shirt because that thing, that is hideous. Geometric shapes in non-primary colors.
And the pants to match.
I love that they make fun of it on the show, though. Yeah.
Those only show up a couple times because for a long time I thought that between Heffer and Rocko they had a complete outfit because Heffer's got pants,
Yeah, right.
and Rocko's got shoes and a shirt.
Right. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit more about the sound effects or even the theme song itself, either of you, before we go into the characters? Speaking of Heffer.
Yeah, I mean, sound effects wise, it's really rich on that side. There's a lot in there to support, every little motion. There's a little added sound on top of it. Which, if you go back to Looney Tunes days, and there's a lot of that. There's a lot that's put into the music.
Yeah.
But this one, I think, takes it up a notch, even higher. It's almost to the point of being excessive in some cases. And I found myself early on in the first few episodes just focusing on that, just locking in and waiting for, all right, what's the next sound effect? And they're just back to back to back. There's 2 or 3 seconds between each sound effect.
It's almost as if they were like scared to allow any like dead space.
Yeah.
or the comic to reside. And like it was one of the like it's something that like I know that I have worked with like on stage, and I've worked with like improv students, is just kind of like being comfortable and natural and just not saying anything. Because there are so many moments in your life where you're not saying anything, you're not engaging with anybody. And sometimes those beautiful moments occur like when you are just calm and you're relaxed and you don't have to say what is exactly on your mind. You can just exist in that space with somebody. And Rocko was just like, no, fuck that.
Fart
like
sound.
absolutely not.
Squeak.
Like,
Noise all the time.
yeah.
Fart sound. Crunch as I walk through the grass.
The funny thing is that I didn't really even notice that because it just kind of filled in the background for me. So I didn't notice it until you guys actually brought it up, and I'm glad that you did, because now I'm kind of going back, through the memory of it. And
so I'm going to claim, I'm new to this group, doing this podcast, and I'm sure you guys have seen a lot more of this. It may be more of a common thing throughout a lot of these cartoons that I just, coming at it from a now filmmaker perspective, which I wasn't at the time when I watched this stuff originally,
right.
that I'm noticing that and I'm paying attention to that. So it could be something that's much more common across other cartoons, but it just seems so much so than even, granted I watch more adult cartoons now, Family Guy, Futurama, stuff like that really doesn't do nearly as much. It's much more about, witty, smart dialogue. Exactly.
Yeah.
But even going back to Looney Tunes, I've seen some of that. I've got nieces that I've watched, cartoon movies and stuff, and it's not.
Yeah. None of that was in Space Jam. Space Jam's like my bar for. I feel like
none of that. Hold on. None of that was in Space Jam. Can that just be your go-to argument for like everything we talk about in the future?
No, I feel like Space Jam is like the one movie that I feel like if I was to ever die and somebody was to grab my phone, they'd be like, he's Googled Space Jam like an alarming number of times, and it's always for like the same question. Like,
Space Jam is trending again.
But you have there's one defense against Space Jam argument. It's a Bill Murray movie. You get to say that.
It is. Absolutely is a Bill Murray movie.
Yeah.
No, it's trending because they did like some table reads, like Blake Griffin did the Michael Jordan part, and they did table reads, I think, with actually a bunch of I don't know if it was the original voice talent or the people that are doing it now for Warner Brothers. But they did, and there's a YouTube video up there of them doing it. It's pretty funny. It's not a bad movie. It's a kids movie.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Now, a few years ago, I think they had LeBron James was actually going to step into the role. But I guess
they were going to redo it.
He's past his prime because he's like 25 now or whatever the hell he is. But
what I
guess it's Blake's turn. Yeah.
And for anybody that is on the internet right now as you're listening to this, go look this up. The Space Jam website has not changed since the 90s when it was first launched. It is like web style 1.0 to the point where it's like, click to download this photo to look at the photo of something from the.
You need to download Netscape Navigator.
Oh no! With a little ship's wheel. I love that thing.
It is an internet time capsule, is what it is. It's glorious. It's worth checking out.
That's amazing.
And I guarantee you, it will load quickly.
I'm sure it will. It comes preloaded before you even go there. Oh man.
What I wanted to say about the whole thing with Foley is that in at least for New Year's Nicktoons. Mm-hmm. There was not a lot of. I mean, there was an acceptable amount of sound effects in Rugrats and Doug, but then I want to say Ren and Stimpy kind of just in terms of
route.
Yeah, there was a lot more, and just in terms of like sort of like some of the clunky walking and like the abuse,
the slaps,
and slapstick and just sort of the fart humor.
Well, I want to be careful and say that I don't think this harmed the show in any way, shape, or form. I think it adds to, its uniqueness. It makes it stand out that much more. None of it is in bad spots. It's definitely noticeably different from anything else that I've watched recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Tony, I'm glad you're here and you're classing up the joint because we haven't really like picked up on stuff like that before. We usually stick to like themes and we talk about the different like wipes between scenes and sequences like that, which I'm missing them. Nicktoons doesn't have them, so I miss them so much.
I will raise the level of production value conversation in this show exceptionally, and people will turn it off so much faster.
Nah, they're still here. They're here making fart sounds and squeaks along with us, so it's a good time. It's a good time.
Dave.
Yes.
Oh man. So, did you want to let's chat about some of these characters?
Yeah, let's talk about some of the other
Talk
characters.
about Rocko.
Well, we did a little bit. We haven't really described kind of like what he's about, other than he's
Well, I mean,
a
I think
wallaby,
we
he's
did-
Australian, and he's poor.
and he's got poor fashion sense.
He's got terrible fashion sense and
got
plastic
terrible
shoes.
fucking-
Good for the 90s. That was not a bad shirt in the 90s.
Okay, that's true.
If you're
That's
bowling, like if you're on your
wearing
dad's
that on
bowling league, that's a fine shirt. But
Truthfully, I'm waiting for like Woot tees or
yeah, it's got to
like
be out
somebody,
there already.
It
has to
there
be a
has to be a
Rocko
Rocko shirt out
Yeah.
there. I want that Rocko shirt.
Has to be.
I want to wear it.
We're gonna do
Every
Rocko
minute.
shirt Christmas parties. It's gonna be the next thing. It's gonna be great.
But yeah, I mean, Rocko is your very. I want to say Rocko is the straight man
He
in
is. He
this
is.
universe
Yeah.
of crazies.
Absolute crazy.
And like nothing else. Like he seems to. Oh, that is brilliant. I love that. Tony.
Did you find one?
Somebody did make a Rocko shirt.
Of course they did.
Shut up and take my
It's
money.
been 20 years. Of course they made one.
It's on teennick.com, and it is it's the light blue with the purple triangles, and then lightly put in between them are the faces of all the main characters on the show. It's Google worthy.
What is the name of that website again?
This appears to be from teennick.com.
Yeah,
I actually
because
just
of the-
Googled Rocko's Modern Life shirt, and
Okay.
it was in the image results that came up.
Because of a recent court case, Sean is not actually allowed to be on that site. So if you wanna,
Somebody's gonna have to gift it to me.
Not
Yeah.
I'm
Looking at you, Dave.
oh boy, I don't want to get him in trouble. So let's just, yeah,
Well, thank you, sir. I
we'll buy
appreciate that.
everybody send Sean a Rocko shirt. We'll see how many he gets.
Can we get them to sponsor the show? And
I would love it.
There's got to be some sort of kickback. We're obviously going to raise the resale value of this shirt.
40%. Yep.
There's at least a 2-shirt extra sales more than what they had before. That's
Yeah,
gotta be
because
worth
I've already purchased one at this
I'm
moment.
gonna charge it to my credit card.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. That'll come back to play in a little bit here. So yeah, which
Well-
character do you want to talk about other than Rocko? Who was your favorite kind of standout on the show?
Well, I mean, I wanted to talk a little bit about Heffer Wolf.
Sure.
I mean, Heffer is essential. Spunky is essential, and then Filbert.
Yeah, you don't
is
know that he's
tertiary,
essential.
and
Yeah,
then
right, exactly.
I feel like Ed and Bev Bighead
Mhm.
are pretty key as well. And so, I feel like, in terms of the group of characters that he surrounds him with, or he is surrounded with,
Mhm.
that like he is very easily the only sane person in like a very insane world.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating as a viewer too, especially if you kind of like Rocko and if you kind of relate to him a little bit, because he's the only somewhat relatable character on the show.
You know what? And watching the show now, I relate to Rocko so much
Oh, yeah.
more than I ever did when I was a child.
None of these other crazies though.
He's very timid and passive, and he's
nice
really
to a
open
fault.
to like
Yeah.
peer pressure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Well, he's
You
the
know,
new guy on the block. I mean, literally on the block, but also in this country, and these are all like his new friends, and
Yeah.
he is nice to a fault. Like he's the nice
Yeah.
guy to the point of everybody kind of walks over him, even his best friends.
Even
So,
the idiots.
so Sean, did you have a favorite among these?
I think it was Bev Bighead.
Really? Okay.
From the episodes that we watched, we watched the pilot and then we watched the first 3 episodes after the pilot. From those, I think Bev, and I'm not saying this just because I do a good Bev Bighead
Save it.
impression.
Excellent, Bev
Don't you?
Bighead.
I'm saying it just because I feel like she was the 90s. I feel like she was the more sexually progressive.
I was gonna say
character.
Sean just liked her because she got nude in every episode that she was in. So
Well, I mean, Heffer gets nude as well, and
Yeah.
I'm not pegging him,
Well,
Sean-
as being my top character.
Sean,
Nor
I
am
dare
pegging
ask,
him.
could you give us a little monologue from the perspective of a modern day Bev Bighead in the Bev Bighead voice? Is that?
Oh, you flatter me, Tony.
Oh, this is.
me talk about myself. I would love to. I could just go on and on and on. Ed is gone most days, and I don't really get a chance to talk to anybody at all. So this is really a privilege for me. But enough about me. What are you wearing right now?
I was literally just gonna ask you that, Bev. Glad you read my dirty mind. Okay, so the listeners out there, if they don't know this show, we've just told them not a whole lot. So we told them the names. And we told them that Heffer and Bev get nude a lot.
Yeah.
But that does not do it justice because these characters are grotesque. They are not attractive whatsoever.
I'll go. You're asking about favorite characters.
Yeah, please.
So I've got two. One of the kind of secondary characters that comes in later in the series, but Spunky.
Really? Okay.
I think is one of the best dog characters on screen. Just in so much as how he carries emotion.
Agreed.
That he just runs around with stupid little reckless abandon, and then but every now and
His
then
physical comedy is so
It's
on
great.
point in this show.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
eating stuff off the floor. You know, he's like any other dog. Anything gross, his nose down immediately. You know, there's one where Rocco's trying to pull him down from on top of a shower curtain, and the shower curtain falls on Rocco, and Spunky lands on top of his head and just spins around and lays down like super comfy.
Yeah,
like,
no
it's like any other, It's like, oh, it's a soft mat, I'll lay down. But no,
That
whenever he
episode
gets
is Dirty Dogs.
by name, okay. No, but whenever he gets sad,
Yeah.
it's just such a great emotional swing. They know how to play that dog character.
Yeah, the big
extremely
sad
well.
eyes, exactly. Yeah.
And that little bit of a whimper.
That
Yeah.
little whimper,
Foley.
that little whimper
Yeah.
plays so much into. It's like,
Kills it.
No, it really does. And honestly, like that's just Rocco. He's either like caring for Spunky or yelling at Spunky or trying to save him throughout most of these
Yeah.
episodes. The best part about Spunky, and I got to agree with you, Tony, he's one of my favorite characters because you can basically just murder this dog. You can just smash him into paste, and he always just kind of like comes back at the end of the day. He's been
Yeah.
compacted
Yeah.
into a trash box. He's been
Yeah.
splattered across the
Shiny-
wall.
shiny-
Chinese takeout box.
Chinese
Again,
takeout
no
box.
right angles. Let's be clear
Right,
about this.
right.
No right
No
angles.
angles in this world.
That's great though. He's got some great moments. But you said you had a second favorite, so I'm curious about who your other
So there's
favorite
one
is.
that comes in later on. There's a superhero character that they have called Really Really Big Man.
Yes, I forgot all about him.
And he has these nipples that tell the future.
Yes.
And so he's got like the Superman outfit on, and he's built like the worst possible, a take on the male physique, where he's basically a triangle sitting on its point.
Right.
Like he's gigantic upper torso. And then he's got, instead of the Superman S, he's got RRBM written across his chest.
Nice.
And then where his nipples are two little red stars. And they make a point about talking in later episodes of where he is able to tell the future from his future predicting nipples.
Oh,
like,
I want this power. I want this power.
and so that alone, that made him one of my.
So I mean that is like, those are. I mean, I think that those are the characters that Tony and I can agree on that we really love. So like, Dave, were there any characters that like you specifically had an affection for?
Yeah, I mean, for the episodes that we watched, there really weren't a lot of these secondary characters. We've already talked about the big heads a little bit. There was a crazy ass dog that was not Spunky in the one episode, but we didn't really get into the other characters that make this show a lot of fun and a lot more memorable until way later on in the series. So there was one that always stuck with me.
Go on.
I just oh, Bev's back, everyone. I just had to look her name up because I had no clue what it was, but I think she was kind of like Rocco's girlfriend maybe for a little bit. Her name is Dr. Paula Hutchison, or Hutch for short, and she's a dentist. But in addition to being a dentist, she has
an abnormality.
she does have a disability.
She's a
Maybe you want
handicap.
to call it a handicap. I don't. She has a hook for a hand, but it doesn't actually handicap her, which is kind of interesting.
I imagine for a dentist that would be
Yeah,
extremely
kind of comes in
useful.
handy. Oh, so to speak.
That's like,
Good choice of
Yeah.
words.
you never depict your teeth with a sharp object.
Oh boy. But yeah, I don't know why I remember her. I remember her being fairly insane. As well as the rest of these
funny thing
people.
about her, design-wise, she makes me think of the character that they use for SpongeBob's girlfriend, or the girl that
Sally.
Yeah, the squirrel,
Yeah.
right? And that's why I was
The
getting
actual-
confused. I wasn't sure if I was accidentally like bleeding those two together or if I
No,
was remembering that
I
right.
think that the character design it's very, very similar between the two.
Okay.
I think there's probably some animator overlap, or at least designer overlap between the two shows.
So, Dave, if you were looking for Tony and I to tell you that you're correct and that you're right.
Thank you. That's all I ever wanted.
Note this
That's
moment.
all.
Yeah, we're fluffing your ego right now.
All I ever wanted, all I ever needed. But there is literally
We should Foley that up, and there's like
Do you have a fluffing sound effect?
Just a really soft.
just...
Ridiculous. But I mean, I think you guys would be hard pressed to remember. I mean, you might remember most of these characters, but there is a shitload of characters from this show that just like it expanded and expanded and expanded. With each and every episode, they just kept adding more and more. And it's like
any good cartoon show. I mean,
yeah.
the ones that honestly stick out in my mind are like The Simpsons, where there is a universe of people that are centered around some centralized characters.
Right, exactly. And like some of these, the maybe will show up again, like down the road. They might just show up as kind of like a cameo or a callback or something like that. But
or just a background character, but it's somebody that you recognize. I mean, they've got the
Chameleon Brothers.
The Chameleon Brothers are great. I like them.
And there's a warthog in the one of my favorite episodes, Skid Marks, of it. I'm a fat pig. Like, and she shows up throughout the rest of the show. She never she always gets like one line whenever she's in an episode. But it's stuff like that. It doesn't have. I don't know that the character has a name or was ever really granted any story time within the run of the series, but you see them, you know them, and it plays into kind of you're in this same town, you're in this same universe the whole time.
Yeah, and they might have like a one-liner or whatever, but honestly, like the ones that are probably the most memorable are the main ones or the essential ones that Sean was talking about before. So Heifer Wolf. Yes, his last name is Wolf. Yes, his family is a bunch of wolves. He is adopted, but he doesn't quite realize that until an episode where they explain it to him.
The episode where he finds out that he's adopted is beautiful.
Yes,
it's amazing.
The shock and awe and disbelief in Heifer's character is fantastic. I mean, you have to realize that we've talked about the fact that Rocko is a sane person in a crazy world.
Right.
He is the straight man for almost the entire series. I'm really reaching to find somebody who was more of a straight man than he was in this show. But Heifer was, and I think about this personally sometimes because I think there are many times where I realize in my life that the problems or the things that are causing me, that are frustrating me, are caused by other people. And if Heifer had been in my life and had caused those problems, I would have murdered.
And I would have helped you, and I would have ate him as well. Because Heifer is a tasty, tasty steer, so feel free to just cook him up.
He is terrible. He is the most naive, disrespectful, almost unassuming.
He is Steve Martin's character from The Jerk.
Yeah, he's the jerk.
Oh my god! Holy shit!
Right?
You're right.
Yeah, he's just the jerk.
Fuck! Add that to the Foley. So damn. He is. Wow.
Even down to not realizing that he's adopted. Even though it's obvious to anybody from the outside, it's obvious to the rest of the family. Even the ones that are too young to necessarily understand it, it's of course you're adopted. You're a cow.
We're a pack of wolves. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, there's something to be said. Wolf. He's dim. He's dumb. That's fine. But he's not exactly well-meaning. The shit that he does to Rocko, the episodes that we watch. So we could talk about Bedfellows. We could talk about No Pain, No Gain, or Who Gives a Buck. Any of those three, there are great examples of how big a jerk Heifer is. So honestly, just pick one and we can roll with it. Just whichever one you want to start with, because he's a jerk.
I want to say Who Gives a Buck.
Okay. I know you like that one. That's your favorite.
Sort of in the research of doing this, and I will put this on our Tumblr account, because College Humor did a phenomenal job of already doing the research for me. They have identified 40 of the dirtiest innuendo moments in this show. And have published a YouTube clip of all 40 of them, and it's genius to watch. But a majority of those like dirty moments are in the episode "Who Gives a Buck."
Really?
Which, if you're
Okay.
checking it out,
In and of itself, the name of the episode,
Yes.
that's one of the ones.
Yep.
There's a couple episodes that are extremely suggestive names, where there is no other context besides
Right.
the swear that it's replacing. But
yeah. And Who Gives a Buck is, so if you're watching this on Amazon,
Mhm.
it is Volume 1, Episode 3. It's No Pain, No Gain, and Who Gives a Buck. And so it's the idea that Rocko, as we've mentioned, like, he should not own a house. Like, he should not own property
Like
or real
financially
estate.
not be able to own a
like,
house.
he should, yeah. Like, there's
I
like,
think Ed Bighead may agree with you on that.
Yeah.
yeah,
really.
it's like something that, like, he should not have a mortgage, but yet he does, and like he is being introduced in this episode to the concept of paying for things with credit.
And whose idea is it?
And it is Heffer's.
Yes.
It is 100% Heffer's. He is acting as the catalyst. He is the agent of doom in this episode of just really forcing Rocko to just, realize that, like, the things that are in his house, like the possessions, like the Fight Club, like, mentality, like the things that you own end up owning you. And
Right.
he's just like, the things that you own are garbage, and you should just go out and buy new ones.
On credit. Yeah.
And Rocko, and like I relate so much to Rocko in my own life, like, of just being like, well, I can't afford that. Like, that's living, like, outside of my means. Like, I don't have that money, and I don't want to do that. And so, like,
But at the same
Rocko-
time, like, you're probably torn like Rocko is. Like, at one point, this whole thing starts because not only is his house falling apart, but he wants to get a bowl for Spunky. He wants to get a food bowl. Why?
Right.
Because fucking Heffer melted it. Because he said,
in the microwave.
yeah, in the microwave. Because he said, I think Spunky wanted his heart valves to be warmed
Weird
up,
Nicktoons.
which is so
Yeah.
gross.
Being a dick.
Yeah, he's kind
Let
of
me
the
just
worst.
let me rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Spunky.
Spunky is
Yeah,
perfect.
Spunky is like-
perfect.
It's such a dirty, dirty name. So it's
Spunky.
whatever.
Spunky. Yeah. But yeah, Heffer's basically a jerk throughout this whole thing. So just to wrap that one up fairly quickly. Rocco's poor. Heffer breaks his shit. A credit card shows up. Heffer encourages him to use it to buy shit he can't afford. And then when Rocko eventually gets the bill and everything gets repossessed, Heffer says, "Oh, I didn't buy this stuff on credit. Anybody who uses credit is a fucking idiot." I'm paraphrasing because I don't think he actually said that. But
No.
so basically, he breaks shit. He
Close
makes him
He does
use
say
credit.
idiot.
Does say idiot.
He's an idiot. And then he insults him for doing what Heffer suggested he does. So that is just 3 strikes, you're a jerk. There's no way out of it.
And
I identified with this episode an exceptional amount because I did the same thing with my first card.
did you?
Overspent, got in a hole, and had to dig myself back out.
Yeah, but did
And
you have
it
an
was-
asshole friend that was like breaking your stuff, forcing you to use a credit card, and then telling you you're an idiot for using a credit
Hold
card?
on.
I was
Flashback
in
to,
college,
like,
Yeah, me too, me
so
too.
how long ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was in college and I was in a fraternity. So
Yeah, I hear you.
does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Yep.
Effectively, yeah.
You're speaking to 2 other people who were
Went through the exact same thing.
Yeah, no, there we go.
And then I killed him and I ate him. So it all worked out fairly well.
Those Matt Barron steaks are delicious.
Ooh, tasty. We are going to survive off them for the rest of the year.
So long.
But there are some. Okay, I need to mention 2 things from this episode, and if you
Yeah.
guys have more, please let me know.
No,
One,
jump into it.
to throw back to what you were just talking about, all these innuendos. I don't know if it was in that clip. I'd imagine it has to be. But Rocko, Heffer, and Spunky all go to the dog bowl store in this
Yep.
conglomerato, and
Whatever you're about to say,
Yeah.
David, 100%.
okay.
Yeah.
So basically, they go up to this sleazy owner of the store, and he's trying to sell them like the most high-end stuff. And Rocco's like, I think we're just gonna walk around a little bit. And he's like, oh, why don't you take the doggy-style bowl ride? Everyone on their hands and knees, and it's just kind of like, I probably didn't even think twice about that as a kid. There's no way I would have as a 10-year-old. But
yeah.
now,
They're walking like a doggy. That's
Yeah.
doggy
oh,
style.
man. And then they weren't even doing that. They were just like sitting in bowls and riding on a conveyor belt. But it was just kind of like,
They will
wow,
get
okay.
banged out.
Yep. Oh boy. And then,
It is,
and this.
No, it is very dirty.
Oh yeah, super dirty, spunky. You might even call it spunky. Here's another question. Do we know the origin of Doge speak, by any chance?
Of Doge speak?
Yeah,
I mean, it was that Shiba Inu that was posted on the internet.
but did that dog coin it, or
Well, the dogs don't speak.
dogs don't speak? So I'm thinking maybe Heffer had something to do with this, because there is a moment when they're approaching Conglamo or whatever the mega store is, and he
Yeah.
just goes, "Wow, many trees." And I that simple line, I just lost it because I saw Doge speak in my head,
Oh
just
my
like
God.
"Wow, such trees," or like "Wow, many trees," and
Very,
I'm like,
very
"That's
trees.
1993. He might be the
Jeez.
originator of Doge speak."
Holy shit.
That's it. It's my
Hmm.
fact
I
of the
missed that.
podcast. Yeah.
So I want to really quickly mention as we kind of wrap up Who Gives a Buck. Like we watched Trash-O-Matic, which was the pilot,
Right.
Hmm.
and we watched
Which is one of those silent film episodes that's, I mean,
yeah.
entirely Foley that makes it up.
Right.
So
We watched No Pain, No Gain, and Who Gives a Buck, Leapfrogs and Bedfellows, and Jet Scream, Dirty Dogs.
Right.
mhm. And then I put it on autoplay and watched about 24 more.
Are you serious?
Oh man, I wish I had time to do that. That's crazy.
So I've got a handful of others, including did I get you guys to watch Skid Marks? Did you watch?
You know,
that?
I remember it fondly, but I
No.
didn't watch it again, unfortunately.
Okay.
So I'll let you
It's
take the reins on that one.
So for the listeners, I had asked these guys to watch one of my favorite episodes. One of the ones, there's a specific line that has stuck with me since childhood from that episode. And it's right after, so the episode's about Rocko, gets his car impounded because he winds up leading the police on a low-speed chase through the highway system because there's a beaver that's hiding out in his trunk.
Obviously.
That's on the lam.
Yeah.
And so, he gets surrounded by the SWAT team, which of course is koalas carrying fly swatters, and they just swat the trunk until the beaver pops out.
Oh my
Well,
God.
and so in doing this, he gets, his car gets impounded because he doesn't have a gas cap.
Right.
And so he has to go to the O-Town DMV and get his license renewed, and then get his car back from being impounded. And it's this horrible, horrible process. It's a really great episode. There's this whole concept of just don't get the fat guy. Just whatever you do, don't get the fat guy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And finally, in the end, he ends up getting his car back, and then the police officer, who's voiced by they're basically doing him as Friday from Dragnet.
Yeah.
Which I want to say to their point. So Rocko's Modern Life's point, they pick on a lot of
Pop culture.
50 and 60s live action television shows, which is,
or any like the sitcom-y kind of like Leave It to Beaver
especially in the one of the episodes that the three of us watched, Dirty Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
They make reference to the Honeymooners as well as also I Love Lucy,
Yeah.
and it is beautiful.
Yeah, it's really well done. But so anyway, so when he gets his car back, and he's driving away, and the whole concept was that he had to get the new gas cap, and so there's a little boy sitting on his dad's shoulders, and the little boy goes, "Daddy, my teacher says whenever someone gets a gas cap, an angel gets his wings." And the dad just politely looks up at him and he goes, "Yeah, well, your teacher's full of snot." And for whatever reason, that line has stuck with me throughout adolescence and into adulthood. And anytime somebody says something about an angel gets its wings, I always think, yeah, your teacher's full of snot.
Yeah. It's a great line. That is why it stuck with you, because it's fantastic. That's one that I remembered too, and I wasn't sure that was the one you were talking about until I saw the description of the episode. I'm like, yep, it's the gas cap. Has to be
you
the
were more
gas cap.
concerned about Laundry Day.
Oh,
it's very dangerous.
And I didn't remember that Rocko said it for pretty much every day. So like Garbage Day is a very dangerous day.
Like bathing your dog day.
Yeah, dog washing day is a very dangerous day. But laundry day is a very dangerous day. For some reason, always stuck with me. And I used to just randomly like mumble it while doing laundry, which caused everyone around me to just kind of back up a little bit.
You have to wonder, like, if that's your level of danger, what kind of a life do you live?
I mean, are you kidding though? The crazy shit that happens to him, like when he goes looking for, I think laundry day,
I'd be like, Dave, like not in the cartoon, but like in our
in like for real lives,
in like
not
in
Rocko's
our,
Modern Life. Okay,
like Dave,
yeah,
IRL. Your life can't be that crazy. Like it can't be that dangerous, where you're just like, holy shit, like. Somebody's like knocking down a wall, or somebody's eating like pasture puffs on your couch to the point where like it's covered your dog, or
I wish
like,
my life was that crazy, but yeah.
Well, and this comes up in pop culture too. I was just watching the new season of Parks and Rec, and there's this whole side story about the Andy and what's the girl's name that Aubrey Plaza plays? April. Andy and April. The two of them are kind of realizing that they've just turned into an old couple, and that they're really boring, and they're like, we need to spice it up, and so they decide to go to a party, and Andy's not gonna wear pants, and he's just gonna walk around with his dog hanging out, So he's blurred through the whole episode because it's network television, but it's the same kind of idea. It's this realization that there's a point in your life where you hit where that's the danger. Laundry day is all the more danger you're going to encounter for this day. You're not really pushing the limits.
Well, I mean, has there been a day, Dave and Tony, I'll pose to you guys this question, we're both adults.
Mm-hmm.
We are both responsible for the lives that we lead. Has there been a day in your life where you're just oh shit, this is dangerous?
Like an entire day? Like a baby's day out? This is the second time I'm referencing that movie?
Not like a day. All right, not like a day.
It snowed a couple weeks ago, and I had to share the road with other drivers in Washington D.C., which
that's a dangerous day.
The most thing I've done recently.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all had just varied dangerous days here and there. Usually drunken dangerous. Yeah, but what's your point?
Yeah, I've been with you during certain moments where I think I've been Dave should not have that.
They call it the danger zone. Yeah.
Now you call it rhino drunk.
Oh, I love rhino drunk. I haven't been rhino drunk in years.
Yeah.
Please explain.
Rhino drunk is when you get to a level of drunk where you are willing to attempt to flip a car.
Yeah, but just sometimes running it.
Think about a rhino charging a vehicle and then flipping a car.
But then make that rhino 185 pounds soaking wet and real gangly, and that's the picture you got in your mind.
Yeah. Mistakes are
made.
It's not a good
It's
idea.
dangerous for everybody else. I have caused dangerous days for other people. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yes, you have. I think everybody has. Unintentionally.
Holy shit, guys. Am I the heifer in these relationships?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
That's the point. This is an intervention, actually.
This has been an hour-long intervention. I was hoping I was more like Filbert, but oh well.
The heifervention.
Going back to talking about Heffer and Rocko's relationship, another parallel I can draw is to Dumb and Dumber.
Oh yeah.
And the concept that Lloyd is Harry's idiot.
Except they're both. I mean, Dumb and Dumber, they're both pretty stupid. I mean, they trade back and forth a fair amount.
They are. The submissive one is Harry, who is the only one who comes up with anything intelligent ever.
Right.
But he's so in love and just diehard allegiance to Lloyd that he'll just go. He remembers Samson, and he's like, oh, maybe it's on the briefcase. Samson or Swanson. Samson. I was way off. And it's just that sort of thing. He's the only one that is smart enough, and I think Rocko's in the same role as Harry, and then Heffer is the Lloyd character, where he'll if he leads them that way, that's the way that Rocko is going to go because it's his best friend. Where else are you going to turn? Who else are you going to go to besides the stupid turtle that is basically a ripoff of
Woody Allen?
Thank you very much. Yes.
I will say one of the more beautiful moments in the episodes that we watched was in No Pain, No Gain. Where I want to say the crux of this episode is that Rocko has realized that he's gotten fat. That
he's huffing and puffing.
He's out of shape.
Yeah, he's not in the shape that he was when he was a young wallaby.
Right.
That tail's dragging a little bit more.
Chubby tail.
So he is, and he's concerned, rightfully so, about his health and also Heffer's health.
I love his intro. I love Heffer's intro in this episode into the house because he just falls
he
smashes through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, then he falls directly through the floor while still eating.
I wonder how much of that is just budgetary animation purposes that they were just ooh, all right.
It was cheaper to not have him on screen.
Just drop him through a hole.
We're already at maybe 25 frames a second, if that.
Don't even care though. They could have done it in every scene, and I would have cracked up each time.
Through the fucking floor, and then we'll do what every anime cartoon has done, where they're like, we'll just obscure the mouth slightly so that like you can't hear them.
Yeah, we'll just
So you
shove
don't have to
food
animate
into
the,
it every
like, the
single time,
lips.
right?
Yeah. So they shove, so they go to this gym and they are being judged consistently by the Chameleon Brothers about whether or not they gain, which is oddly enough, it is the voice actors of Rocko and Heffer who
Playing
are
the two
the
Chameleon Brothers.
Chameleon Brothers who are judging themselves. So I mean, that's a paradox in and of itself. And so they're going through this process of trying to get into this gym, and then at the very end, you find out that like Heifer has like massively fucked up this application process and has just destroyed a majority of the gym.
Yep.
In fact, at one point, like Bev Bighead ran out of the gym wearing like a grand piano.
Yeah.
So I mean, like
he winds up taking your towel out of the steam room.
That's the level of like fucked upitude that like Heifer has achieved in this episode, and so the point that this gets to, or like the beautiful friendship moment that occurs, being given the opportunity to join this gym, and he turns it down because Heifer doesn't get the same invite, and he's like, no, he's like, this is my friend, and they go home and they share a pizza together.
They don't only share a pizza together. Do you see what else they were doing?
I mean, help me out here. I mean, I'm looking at the pizza.
I know you're looking at the pizza. Do you remember the
I love pizza.
the old Thigh Master like infomercials?
Oh yeah.
It was that like bendy thing that you just put between your knees and then just squeeze your knees together and back out. They're both doing that as they're eating the pizza.
That's right.
So like,
that episode, another thing I'll mention. So one of the few celebrity cameos that they had with Richard Simmons.
Exactly.
That's right.
Playing basically the cartoon version of himself as
like a little pig.
A little pig or something like that.
Little exercise pig. Yeah.
But obviously in the short workout shorts, the tank top, and the mop of curly hair, it's obviously Richard Simmons, and then just leading a workout routine with a bunch of other people. No, it's a great cameo because I think that's one of the few celebrities of that era that crossed over that kids actually knew.
Right.
Yeah. It plays both for parents and for kids, and it plays ridiculously in different ways for both people too.
Exactly. And while this episode is another great example of how Heifer is a real jerk and Rocko probably should just either distance himself from him or just outright kill him, there were also some other kind of like, they weren't really
you were like on a 1 to like murder.
I'm just
like
real hungry.
Like 1
I
to
just
murder.
really want a steak right now.
Did you say you're really Hunger Games?
I'm having my own version of Hunger Games. The people in the neighborhood just don't know yet.
Are you Katniss?
I might be.
Katniss Everdeen.
Katniss Everdeen. Yikes. So a couple scenes in this episode actually. Do you guys remember when they walk into the gym, and they go into like the bodybuilding portion of it? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I loved just this bizarre kind of like surreal moments where there's this huge dude, he's just working on like a bench press kind of machine.
It got so violent.
Incredibly violent, and it's just kind of out of nowhere that it just kind of like, it just shocks you into laughing. At least that's what happened to me, but I'm a sadistic bastard.
The guy that it rips his arms off.
Oh yeah, he's like trying to move this massive weight and his arms just like just fly apart at the shoulders, and there's like bone and blood and muscle just flying everywhere.
With no blood. It was just
they were just red bloody chunks inside.
The end of like a bone.
Yeah.
With kind of like just an end of a bone,
like bone sticking out, like operation.
And it glosses over it. There's no scream or anything like that. He just looks like bummed, like he dropped the ice cream off of his cone.
I just dropped my arms, dude. I've been working so hard on them. And then there's another moment where like, this one made me laugh out loud too because I wasn't expecting it. Rocko goes to try to do like a bench press, and he's just getting the shit beat out of him this entire episode, which happens every episode. But he's basically trying to do bench press, and he's struggling, and then he finally like fails, and the thing falls, and it shocks the shit out of him. And I thought that was hysterical. That was a great motivational machine there to just zap him.
I thought that like when I watched that this week, I was like, what a wonderful tie-in to the latest episode of Gotham on Fox.
I mean, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
With the electrocutioner, I was like, wow,
sponsored by Fox.
Way to go, Fox. Like, good job.
They
That is
knew.
not at all what it was related to.
They knew in the future, one day, three guys are going to do a podcast.
We're going to time it?
And revisit these episodes. And we're going to time it perfectly that 2 weeks before that, they're going to watch it on a network television series that's a reboot of a reboot of a reboot of a DC Comics character.
And they're going to say, and they sat in the writer's room and they said, you know what, we've got the entire 60-year history of Bob Kane's Batman to draw from. Hundreds of villains that we could possibly choose from. But these guys need to see Electrocutioner.
Attention, Fox. Knock the fuck off.
You guys are terrible. Sponsored by Fox. Yeah, I can't wait to get to my plugs at the end of the episode where I'm like, hey, listen to me talk about Gotham. Yeah.
I know, right? Sponsored by Conglomerate.
Oh, boy.
Were there any other episodes that we had watched that you were just like, these are spot on what it's like being an adult?
I mean, I feel like being a college-age individual with asshole roommates is probably closer to Rocko's actual modern life.
Sure.
Yeah.
But being an adult, I don't know. He does have, the garbage day one, just the fact that he's he has to get... They basically spend the 20 minutes of Rocko just running around the house, getting his house cleaned up so he can throw trash away. That's the pilot, though.
That was a frustrating episode for me.
I could see that.
I mean, I know that it's a pilot, and, they set up a little bit of history that's really well done. There was a dog that is the antagonist in this episode.
Yes, that escaped from a science lab.
Which is a nice little
nice
fun
touch.
point of that they go back and they discuss and it gets pulled into the canon of the show later.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But it's something because if you're just is Earl just the antagonist for this pilot? No, he comes back in later episodes, so it happens. But it was just kind of frustrating. Watching that first episode, I was I was a little bit worried about the pacing. I was a little bit worried about I know that we mentioned just about sort of some of the silent treatment with the Foley. I was a little bit nervous about some of the sound effects and I don't. I'm a very tidy human being, and there was a part of me that was driven completely insanely nuts by watching that episode.
It's one half of The Odd Couple, but there's no one else there to clean anything up. Yeah.
And this show, I just wanted to murder him.
This show, a lot like Ren and Stimpy, and I wasn't part of that episode, but I remember that series pretty vividly. Mm-hmm. But it's very selective about when things look grotesque.
Right.
That something will look fine and dandy up until it serves the story for it to look grotesque. Right. And there's plenty of episodes where Rocko's house looks fine. Yeah. There's not cracks in the wall. There's not paint peeling. There's not carpet being pulled up. There's not a spring sticking out of the couch. Right. There's not piles of garbage everywhere.
Right.
But that first episode, that's all there is in the entire episode. And then that goes away until a few episodes later. There's another episode where they have to fix up his house because Mr. Big Head's trying to get him evicted for not taking care of his property.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, it just looks dilapidated, and there's patches on the house and everything. And so it does this kind of bounce back and forth. And Ren and Stimpy does that a lot too, where everything looks fine until you get that that macro close up where it's a different. It seems like it's a different artist actually drawing it, but it's that hyper real.
It's that hyper real single still that they just pan over in a very slow, deliberate manner that shows all of the accentuation of whatever the disease or the problem.
And a woman screams in the background, and
or there's a tugboat sound where it goes.
Well, and this this show does it, and to their credit, they do it for the entirety of an episode, but it does seem to it swings that way, where that episode the house looks grosser than any other time during the entire series.
Right. Yeah.
From the inside, and then they do it again later from the outside, where it looks perfectly fine. It's a quaint little house. Granted, there's no right angles as we mentioned before, but other than that, it looks just like every other house on the block.
Right.
Until it serves the story for him to have no grass in his yard,
right.
And
and nudists in the backyard.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're getting a little short on time. So was there any other just themes or moments you guys wanted to touch on real quick before we wrapped up? There's a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, we're just kind of short on time today.
It's a great series. I do want to touch on Filbert because we did kind of gloss over him.
Yeah.
Turn the page, wash your hands.
Yeah.
Turn the page, wash your hands.
I'm nauseous.
Yes.
And so, just the concept of a Jewish turtle
That's brilliant.
is wonderful to me. And they introduce him in the DMV episode
Yes.
as one of the guys working at the DMV,
Right.
and he's like, "Okay, so I go, whoa, slow down, hold your horses, where you going, you know." And it's just completely over the top. And then he turns into kind of the third musketeer when they need them
Right.
later in the series,
Yeah.
and really is just, the third leg of that tripod for Heffer and Rocko. But it's a great little balance. It's another. He's the smart one in the group, but he's also the absolute most timid and least likely to kind of raise his voice when something's going wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, even more so than Rocko, which is strange. So it's kind of a nice. It's a really awkward pairing, not pairing, but the threesome. But they do kind of work well together because they kind of play off of each
Threesome.
other.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're talking about a threesome.
That is an awkward threesome. We didn't roll 34 this one, but I guarantee that's out there somewhere.
Who's gonna be in this threesome?
Ooh, boy.
Sean, did you roll 34 this one beforehand?
I did not roll 34 this because I have not rolled 34.
We haven't done it for Nicktoons. There's something that feels wrong about that.
because of my attachment to watching
Yes.
said Nicktoons, and so I was very concerned about doing a Rule 34. But I see Tony holding his phone.
I'm not looking it up right now. No.
Thank you so much.
I may later, but that will be
Off
the
the
time
record.
season,
Off
man.
the record. Yeah.
I think that I'm nervous about doing a Rule 34 for any of these.
Yeah. You know it's there.
The impact that I feel that they've had, but I know DeviantArt is not going to disappoint me in any way, shape, or form. So
You might get your Bev fix out there. You don't know.
yeah, I know.
If you can buy the wardrobe, as we learned earlier.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you can make your own.
Oh.
Ooh, strap on that wallaby tail.
I feel like I'm gonna be buying. I feel like next Halloween, I want to go as.
You wanna be Rocko?
For Rocko's Modern
Just
Life.
stick it between your legs out the back, and you got your wallaby tail, and you're good to go.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Sean is blessed. Hashtag blessed.
Oh my god. Humble brag.
Oh, boy. Well, I don't recommend that, but do you guys recommend this show? Since we've kind of talked about it, I think fairly positively. Sounds pretty positive. Sounds like we'd like to see more. How about you guys?
I would recommend it. I think it's funny. I think it holds up honestly really well.
Yeah.
The fact that there are a lot of jokes in it that are very based in the 90s, but they're universal enough concepts. It's broad enough concepts that it's stuff that even people of our age, we've learned about it over the course of our lives to the point where it makes sense to us.
Right.
So I think it's worth a watch. I would say pick and choose some episodes.
Yeah.
There's some great ones on there, but luckily Amazon has them in random order. Seemingly two duplicates of the entire series.
Right.
One just rearranged from the other. So season 1 through 4 is the original setup, which is already misarranged, and then season 5 through 8 is the same episodes, just mixed and matched again.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they were doing, but hey, at least they're there and you can watch them twice.
Figure it out, Amazon.
Half the price. Yeah, I don't know. Sean, do you recommend this one though?
Yeah, I definitely recommend watching this. I think that there are a lot of moments that ring true and are relevant as you are as I was a young 13-year-old watching this, and then they still ring true as a 34-year-old watching it today. And just a lot of the themes and ideas and kind of just the trials that Rocko goes through with dealing with other people, like those are still relevant, and those are still things that I do it daily. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's always there, and I think it's that realization that if somebody had sat me down when I was younger and they were just like, "Hey kid, when you grow up, life's not gonna be real easy. It's gonna have a lot of problems." I've been like, "Oh, go on about that," and I would have wanted to learn more. And I feel like this show kind of acted as a primer in a sense, but still, being a Nicktoon and kind of having that filter, it didn't quite get to all of the subtleties that I would have wanted. But I mean, I realize now watching it as an adult that there are just a lot of things, there are a lot of pitfalls that you have to watch out for, and
Yeah.
it's It's hard, and problems in your life are going to be caused by other people, and you just kind of have to roll with it and deal with it.
And I realized that I am the heifer to your Rocko, so that's been a fun turn of events for me. Everyone.
No, that makes
buddy.
No,
that
I'm
makes
totally embracing that.
I wouldn't be Filbert. I'm gonna go with really big man.
You want to be really, really big man?
Yeah,
What are your
yeah,
nipples telling us about next week's episode?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was going to say Tony's nipples are telling me that that Matt Barron is the heifer.
Can it
to
be?
this
Oh
group.
wow, you just threw him right under that bus. Okay, I thought you were gonna say something else entirely, but we'll roll with that.
I mean,
That's
if it was
fine.
this show, it would be like an anthropomorphic bus that would have like a face and would chew trash.
Yeah,
at
it
the
would
same
chew
time
up
as
cars
well.
and trash cans. I will tell you what though, Matt and I think our dearest moments were shared over a chicken parm sandwich, so that makes sense.
Fair.
He does have the occasional credit issue.
That is. You were being generous.
I'm being very generous with my interest rates. We've never worked out together, so I guess that okay, I can
We've
see
never
it.
worked out.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's
So we've never worked out together because
I feel bad talking about the guy that's not here. Dave, do you recommend this one?
I recommend Matt listen to this show. That's not gonna happen. No, I definitely say check this one out. To be honest with you, again, I'd space these out a little bit. I don't know how, Tony, you marathon through these because it was kind of wearing me down even after just a few. But I mean, I like it. It wasn't quite the level of like Ren and Stimpy that I had expected as far as the humor and the level of maturity, I guess. But there were a lot of nice surprises in here, and I'd like to get deeper into the seasons and deeper into the series itself rather than just the first few. So yeah, go check this one out. Watch them twice on Amazon for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because you can.
Because why not? Because this is
You paid
the
$100.
yeah, this is indulge yourself. This is the age we live in. Watch Rocko twice. Okay, so that's our conclusion there for the recommendation of this New Year's Nicktoons. I'm going to turn it back over to Tony now. Tony, do you have anything coming up in the next couple of weeks you'd like to share with our listeners? Anywhere they can see you?
Nothing in the next couple of weeks. You
Okay.
can check out both of my online channels for the Crowded Elevator movies that we've done. That's on Vimeo.com/Crowded Elevator. For Ugly Hollywood, you can check out at YouTube.com/Ugly Hollywood. And then we're also visit Ugly Hollywood. I got to look and see what our Twitter is.
Yeah, at Twitter.
I think it's ugly_Hollywood at Twitter or at Twitter at. Okay.
We got you.
I don't know
we got
websites.
you. We know what the Twitters are.
I'm too old for
The
this.
kids are savvy.
so-
They got it.
Yeah.
So at ugly_Hollywood.
Yes, I believe that is correct.
Awesome.
I'm gonna look it up right now, and
We'll add it into the show notes too when we post this live, so we'll get it all scored away for you kids out there in listener land.
sounds good.
You have anything coming up with Sean, or is Sean kind of flying solo these days?
Oh man, you know what? I'm going to be performing improv in the DC area in Adams Morgan at the DC Arts Center or DCAC. I'm going to be performing on January 24th, the 31st, the 7th, and the 14th. Which, ladies, we're going to be performing every.
Can you please perform as Bev though, and just confuse everyone?
Absolutely,
Oh, dear.
David. Not a problem. We are going to be performing on all those dates, all those upcoming dates at 7:30. You can find tickets at witdc.org as a part of their Wintry Mix Roadshow. And then on December 20th, I'm going to be in San Diego for the San Diego Improv Festival. So you can find me performing there, and probably also at the brewery called Ballast Point or Lost Abbey
Heck yeah.
or Port Brewing. I'll be at all of them.
Please go to all of them.
But
Yeah.
I will be performing specifically at the San Diego Improv Festival. It's going to be on February 20th at 8:30, and you can find tickets at sdimprovfestival.com.
Excellent.
February 20th. You had said December.
I heard
before.
December.
Did I say December?
Yeah,
No,
I
no,
wasn't
sorry,
sure.
February.
I was like,
February.
you were projecting.
We're
way
time
out.
traveling.
We should cheers this episode. Tony and I have been drinking Sierra Nevada, their 2015 Beer Camp Hobby Lager.
And I'm not a hops fan, but this is
damn good.
Yeah, it's not too shabby.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this one.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Excellent. Unfortunately, I'm not drinking anything. Staying hydrated again over here because my entire office is infected with the diseases. So, yeah, trying to stay healthy. I did have a
So-
snowdrift earlier today, though. So, line of Kugels. Thanks again.
David, if I was to look for you online, where would I find
You won't
stuff
find
you
me
would do?
anywhere, Sean.
Yeah, I know.
No,
But if I
actually,
was to
yeah, you'd find me
your
everywhere.
days-
I'm all over the place these days. Hey, you can come on over to Collider.com where I do weekly reviews of such shows as Gotham, which is terrible, and then some better shows. Like,
What what happens if we rule 34 Dave?
ooh, it's a good question. Probably just brings up my search
it's a lot
history
of hand-drawn art that I've done during my lunch break.
on like 3 hole punch line notebook paper.
Dave getting fucked by like the Fox network.
just by oh, I can't remember his name. I can't remember the guy that owns that. Rupert Murdoch.
By Rupert Murdoch. That's what you were reaching for?
Yep. That's what he was reaching
Deep
for.
pull, deep pull.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you and the mixed of a lemon party.
Just me on the doggy bowl, the doggy styled bowl express. What the hell was the name of it? Yeah, I'm back to those shows. So some slightly better ones like The Flash, Arrow, The Walking Dead, and Constantine. And yes, Constantine is actually pretty decent, especially compared to Gotham. Sorry, Fox.
Constantine is great.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I don't know if it's going to get a second season again. We talk about this every week, and I still haven't heard. So we shall
Fingers
see.
crossed.
Fingers crossed. All that good stuff. Sean, where can folks find you on social media if they would be so inclined?
You can find me on Instagram as well as Twitter at Sean Paul Ellis. That's SeanPaullEllis.
And Tony, I know you plugged your projects and your production company earlier, but do you have a personal account that you'd like people to contact you at, or not so much?
You can look me up on Twitter at Big Tony VT.
Oh boy, I like that. Big Tony VT.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Easy to find.
Good stuff.
That one I know.
And you can find me at Dr. Claw MD on Twitter. If you're interested in finding out more about Saturday morning cartoons, you can head on over to our website. It's SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. Remember, that's morning with a U. Check out Sean's handiwork on our Tumblr page, SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com. You can drop us a line on Twitter. That's at MorningTunes. Again, morning with a U. Feel free to email us. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know, any shows that you want us to cover, any favorite episodes you have, or just share your childhood cartoon memories with us. Send us an email, SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. And you can listen to us by subscribing to iTunes and Stitcher, where we will release a new podcast episode each and every week. Speaking of that, unfortunately, we were coming to the ends of our New Year's Nicktoons/Dicktoons.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. We got to get back to the real grind after this. Vacation's over. The party's
We
over.
gotta get back to the garbage of the 80s.
Oh man,
so.
yeah. I don't know. We haven't even started talking about our schedule coming up. That's gonna be fun.
I know. I'm looking forward to this landfill that's going to be February.
It's gonna be. Thank God it's a short month. Just get through all that crap. So Sean, I will leave this.
What's coming up?
There's some good ones, I promise. Sean, I'll leave this to you. What do we have
Next
coming
week-
up? Yeah. What's our last
Next
Nicktoon?
week we for the end of New Year's Nicktoons, we are going to be talking about real monsters.
Very well done. Very well done. I'm looking forward to that one because it's different from anything we've kind of covered, at least as far as the Nicktoons so far. It's all of them have been different and they've had their own merits. This one, I feel like, if I remember correctly, it stands kind of on its own as well. So that'll be good. And hey, if you guys like this, I know there's plenty more Nicktoons out there. We could do this again. Oh, I don't know, maybe next New Year's. We'll do the next round of
Next
Nicktoons.
New Year's, yeah.
That'd be fun.
They have such fun shows like Fairly Odd Parents,
Even Hey Arnold, man. I liked Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold,
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob. We could watch all 180 billion episodes of that.
all 4,000
You
episodes of it.
should do SpongeBob after the movie is released.
We should.
Oh my
we should.
Be a good time.
See if we can get Tom Kenny on the show here. Right.
Good times.
Jokes. I have jokes.
We should just ask him.
Yeah, we'll just ask him.
Yeah.
But you know who I do appreciate taking time out of his schedule to join the show? Tony. Thank you very much, sir, for taking time
No
out.
worries.
Thank you,
Coming on the
Tony.
Thank you for having me. Anytime. I'm happy to come join. This was fun.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back. So that's about it for us tonight. I'm going to turn it back over to Sean now, or I don't know if Sean's still around, but I think Bev might have something to say to the listeners out there. He's going to take us out for tonight.
You just walked in the room here. Let's see.
Oh,
it.
is somebody talking about me?
Oh, Bev, there you are. We were missing you. We were wondering if you would say a nice farewell to our listeners and thank them for listening to the show tonight.
I hope that all of our listeners have a wonderful evening and a wonderful night, and I would love to slip some Spanish fly into your drink.
Oh, boy.
And you are just all darlings.
There you go. This has been Saturday Morning Cartoons. Thanks for listening.